Hedera H-bar, the hidden gem that nobody is talking about. In this video, we're going to discuss why H-bar is the only cryptocurrency coin that you need to be investing in during this bear market. And what we're going to discuss is, what is Hedera? How does Hashgraph work? And what are the price predictions for H-bar? And trust me, you want to stay till the end of this video because we're going to be unlocking some juicy information all about Hedera. Now, before we get started into the video, there are 3 things we need to establish. Number 1, Hedera is the company. Number 2, Hashgraph is the mechanism. And number 3, H-bar is the token. So let's repeat. You have Hedera, Hashgraph and H-bar, so jot that down. So what is Hedera trying to achieve? Well, like most cryptocurrency projects out there, they're trying to be a proof-of-stake public network which can then be used to run smart contracts, provide tokenization of assets and consensus services. But we'll explain these fancy words later on in the video. Now, what makes Hedera so interesting is it actually doesn't use blockchain technology. It uses a mechanism called Hashgraph, and this mechanism is patented by the Hedera company. So if you think of your traditional proof-to-work blockchain, what you literally have is just a string of blocks, and a miner adds an extra block to that string of transactions in order to record a new transaction. Hence the term blockchain, because it is literally just a chain of blocks. But with Hashgraph, what we actually have is this public ledger stored on a number of nodes, and all of these nodes interact with each other to record, initiate and store transactions. But the best way to understand the Hashgraph mechanism is to see it visually. So let's jump straight into a video taken from the Hedera company website itself, in which this video truly visualizes the Hashgraph mechanism in all its glory.
Suppose we have a bunch of computers, we'll imagine 8, that are named Alice through Hank. So Alice has a transaction she wants to send out. She puts it inside of a message, and that message she sends out by using a gossip protocol. This means she sends it to a random person, and then each of them sends it to a random person, they send it to a random person, and exponentially fast it explodes outwards and the whole world knows about it. Now, what if Bob and Carol have transactions they want to send? Well, they put them inside of messages, which they then send out to random people. So there are 2, then 4, then 8, and it blows up exponentially. But how do we know what time each message reached the world as a whole? Well, we could keep track of when each person received each message. And we could take those times, and we could sort them, all the times for the red message, and so on. And then we could take the middle of the list. This tells you when the red message reached most of the world, and when the blue one did, and when the green one did. And if we sort the messages by that, that puts them into a fair order. So now we have them in order. Oh, but wait, how do we know when each person received each message? Sounds like you'd have to send out a lot of receipts. No, we'll send no receipts at all. Here's how. When we're doing our talking, we can draw this graph of how we talk to each other. Alice talked to Dave, so we draw a line from Alice to Dave, and then they talk, and we have 2 more lines, and then more, and then the blue and the green come into our graph, and then they spread and spread and spread, and the result is this big diagram of how we've all talked to each other, this graph. But we could create a message for every circle in the graph. It has whatever transactions you want to create. It has a timestamp of when you're claiming that you're creating it. It has your digital signature, and it includes 2 hashes. A cryptographic hash of the last message you made and the last message you received. And just by adding the 2 hashes, it ties them all together. And so we could actually store this graph in memory on every computer, and we would all know the complete history of how we talk to each other. We're not just gossiping the transactions. We are actually gossiping out indirectly this graph itself. We're gossiping about the gossip. We are actually talking about how we're talking. And once we all have this hash graph in memory, we can just look at it and do virtual voting, which means we just look at it and we know the timestamp of when each person received each message. We don't have to talk to each other about it. We don't have to send out additional messages about when you received things and about what orders to put things in. You get it for free. Virtual voting. So, how does Hashgraph consensus work? We want to put the transactions in order. How do we do that? We'll sort them by the order of the events. But what's the order of the events? You just sort them by the consensus timestamp for each of these events. But what's the consensus timestamp on an event? It'll be the median of the received time. It'll be the middle of all those times of when it reached everybody in the world. What's the received time? Well, it's when an active computer, an active node, received it. The computers that around that time were each sending events to many of the other nodes. But what do we mean at that time, sent events too many? Well, we mean during that round. We all had this history in the Hashgraph. We break up history into a bunch of rounds, and we just look at it and say, okay, during that round, did this node actually send out some events? If they did, they have a famous witness. And did it reach many people at once? If they did, we call that witness famous. And we will weight all of this virtual voting by the stake that they are holding, how many H-bars they own. So it is gossip about gossip with virtual voting.
Now, it took me a couple of plays for the Hashgraph mechanism to really soak in, but when I tell you this technology is powerful, you need to believe it. In fact, this technology is so powerful, these are the current companies which have signed up to have a governance role in the Hedera company. And as you can see, there are some unbelievable names in that pile, including Google and IBM. But in addition to this, they're also working with the current companies. And again, you can see all the high valued names in that list. There are some unbelievable companies currently working with Hedera as we speak, so this is no joke. Now, given that the HBAR token is currently sitting at rank 38 when it comes to coins by market cap, you may be wondering, well, how good is the mechanism since I've never heard of the coin and it's not even a top 10 coin given all these backers behind it? Well, let's find out. So here is a comparison against Bitcoin and Ethereum. And as you can see, the results are mind-blowing. Hedera is able to process over 10,000 transactions per second, all costing a fraction of a cent. And it does all of this using less energy and less time per transaction. So as you can see, when it comes down to the Hashgraph mechanism, it blows blockchain out of the water. So we've got some good brands behind the Hedera company, and we've got some mind-blowing stats when it comes to transactions. But the next question to ask is, well, can any of this actually be applied to the real world? Well, this is the beauty of Hedera. There are actually 6 ways that they're looking to integrate their technology with the modern world. Number 1 is payments. Now, by 2023, digital transaction values could reach $6.7 trillion globally, and publicly distributed ledgers that enable the issuance of stablecoins and other cryptocurrencies for payments could reduce costs associated with payment processors and point-of-sale systems. Now, given HBAR transactions take seconds to settle and can process over 10,000 transactions per second, this provides companies such as Visa with some serious competition. Number 2, we have tokenization. Now, currently, blockchain mechanisms that offer asset tokenization often carry the burden of expensive and unpredictable fees along with slow transactions, whereas Hedera offers the ability to perform configuration, minting and management of fungible and non-fungible tokens. Number 3, fraud mitigation. Now, digital fraud accounts for over $6 billion, in which applications are controlled by centralized authorities with back-end infrastructure which is currently susceptible to infiltration and data tampering. Now, Hedera enables high processing and verifiable logging of business transactions, as well as adhering to decentralized standards. This ensures that all participants and trusted associated systems have a real-time view of transactions and detections of fraud activities. Number 4, we have data compliance. Now, regulation are forcing companies to take data compliance very seriously, especially given the amount of data that is just stored centrally. Currently, there's no objective way to prove customer data has been handled and enforced appropriately, so Hedera can bring back that public trust and data compliance by providing a public but auditable log of actions taken and how customer data is being used. Number 5, permissible blockchains. Now, permissible blockchains offer the ability to share information within a set of known and authorized parties. So again, this is very important when it comes to sensitive data. Now, currently, Hedera allows blockchain projects to connect to the Hedera network while using the Hashgraph mechanism, and this ensures that transactional information remains private, all while being auditable by authorized parties. And number 6, Hedera want to integrate the ability to identify attributes, skills and qualifications which can be tagged to users, and therefore allow certain individuals to gain access to certain software or systems, and this would be all based on their identification. So as you can see, there is a lot going on with Hedera, and they are trying to solve a lot of issues in the market, all while integrating the HBAR token. And I really recommend to go on the Hedera website and just have a read, because it is jam-packed with information which will just blow your mind. So now, the moment you've all been waiting for, what could a reasonable price prediction be for the HBAR token? Now honestly, given some of the issues that Hedera are trying to solve, and the amount of backers, when I talk about big name companies backing Hedera, I honestly think that the HBAR token could reach the number 4 or even the number 3 spot, therefore just placing HBAR behind Bitcoin and Ethereum. So let's do some comparisons of what coins have hit that 3rd spot, and could Hedera easily take that spot. So if we go back to the last bull run of the 1st week of November, let's have a look what the market looks like, and let's see what coin was sitting at number 3. So as you can see here, the 3rd largest coin during that bull run was the BNB coin, with a market cap of $108 billion. Now honestly, when you compare BNB to HBAR, it's a no-brainer that HBAR offers so much more utility than BNB. Don't get me wrong, BNB is a great coin, but it's limited in its application, whereas HBAR are trying to solve real-world issues. And you can even see the 4th largest coin was SOL, and I'm sorry, but HBAR wipes the floor with SOL given the amount of uses it can be applied to. So if we do the maths on if HBAR reached the same market cap as BNB, what that leaves us with is a price prediction of $5.15. Now this may not seem a lot, but let me remind you, HBAR is currently sitting at 7 cents. That's right, 7 cents. So if you just put in a measly $200 right now at 7 cents a token, and HBAR did hit $5.15, then that would take you from $200 to just under $15,000. So for me, that sounds like a risk worth taking. I will happily put $200 into HBAR, and if it goes to 0, I've lost $200 and I'm fine with that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you think HBAR is a good token. Whoa, why are you clicking off so suddenly? Before you click off, I'm here to tell you that I'm giving away free NFTs. All you have to do is click the link on my bio and it will take you to OpenSeas. These NFTs are being given away as a token of appreciation for being an early viewer in my videos. And if you've enjoyed this video, we're here every week, every single week, releasing a new video on cryptocurrency. In fact, if you have a coin you want me to cover or just any question on your mind, leave it in the comments and I'll make a video replying to it to solve your questions. Hopefully I'll catch you next week, and don't forget to subscribe.